falls into a batch of eggs of the duck. And when the eggs hatch, obviously the swan does not look like the other ducks. And he kind of gets shunned. He kind of goes on his own journey of self-discovery until he eventually finds the beauty that's within himself. And I related a lot to that growing up. But I was blessed in my life with 4 children. 2 of them have special needs, like some of you have told us, so you know this. And in a lot of ways, this story of the ugly duckling has taken on a whole new significance for me. Because of my special needs children, on the outside, I know when people look at them and when they talk with them, they kind of go, "Whoa, something's not completely right here." And I get it. I understand that. Right? But what I see in them is this beautiful swan. 5 years ago, I was driving home from work and I needed to go to Home Depot. This is my daughter, Caitlin. She's my oldest daughter. And she is interesting because my son is their disability. He's very severely affected. He kind of lives in his own little world. He's a great kid. I don't know if any of you guys saw his dance moves that I posted. Caleb's got some rocking dance moves. But anyway, he kind of is a little oblivious to his disability. But my daughter is much less affected. And so she's aware that she's different. And so one of the concerns that I've always had with her is how she sees herself. Does she see the swan, or does she see the ugly duckling? And of course, as her father, I want her to see the swan. 5 years ago, I was driving home from work. I needed to go to Home Depot. And I thought, I just do go there right after work, but I decided I would go home, because usually I try to go home, and whenever I have to run errands, and I grab my daughter, because I know she's going to be there. My daughter doesn't have really any friends, or didn't at this time. When we would go to her IEP meetings, her like parent-teacher conference for special needs kids meetings, they would tell us time and again that their only concern really with her and progress was she was just always alone. She ate lunch by herself. When recess came, she would just be by herself, and it would break my heart. Because I knew the kids saw the ugly duckling, and they didn't see the swan in her. And so when I would go run errands, I would always grab Caitlin. She was my buddy. We would stop by, and I would get her a root beer, because she loves root beer, and she loves anything chocolate. Okay? We would stop, and I'd get her root beer, get her something chocolate, and we would go on errands, and we would just hang out and do whatever Dad had to do. I went and picked her up. We were driving down the hill from my house. And I'd given her my phone. She was playing her favorite pop music. I think it was from Radio Disney on my phone. And all of a sudden I was driving, and I remember just seeing her look at me, and she stared at me for about 10 seconds. And she said, "Daddy, I have fragile X, and that means I have a special brain, and I'm different than other kids." And I lost it. I have never felt so inadequate as a parent as I did in that moment. I pulled over, and I hugged her, and I told her, "God, you're just how God made you. You are a beautiful girl. You're an amazing," and I did my best to help her see the swan inside of her, because I knew she was wrestling with that moment. She's always been a special girl to me, because she's my girl between two worlds. Did she see the swan, or did she see the ugly duckling? Well, about last year, something happened that is the reason why I'm telling this story. My daughter Caitlin, like I mentioned, spent every day of her life just home by herself after school. And one day there was a knock on her. It was one evening, right before dinner. And this girl came to our door. Her name was Sarah. She lived in our neighborhood, and she went to the local high school. She was a junior. She was captain of the cross-country team. And she came and she asked if she could talk to my parents, my wife and I, Caitlin's parents, which was weird because I was like, sure. And she said, "Would Caitlin run cross country?" And I was like, there's part of me as a dad's like, yes. Yeah, she's gonna do it. But then there's another part that knows my daughter, that knows that she's scared. It's like social situations intimidate. She doesn't understand. Like, She has all those same interests. She loves Justin Bieber, but she gets embarrassed when you talk about it. She has all, but you put her in a social group, and it's like the kids are going 100 miles an hour, and she's like idling at 5 miles an hour. And I was so nervous for her, and I looked at Sarah, and I just said, there's something. I said, okay, you know what, Sarah? We can try. And she goes, if she's willing to do it, sorry, I'll take care of her. I'll take care of her. Okay? And so I went to my daughter, Caitlin, and I said, Caitlin, you want to run cross country? What's that? It's running. A long way. No, I don't want to do that. And I'm going, no, Caitlin, you got to do this. This could be a chance for you to get out and to connect with people and to have them see you and so you're not eating lunch by yourself anymore. And so you can do these things, all those things that I know that the parents don't really understand. And she goes, no, Daddy, no. And then Dad got smart. Because like all young girls, my daughter loves clothes. Oh my gosh. We don't buy clothes for her because she has specific tastes. Her favorite gift in the world are gift cards. So I looked at her, I said, I'll tell you what, if you run cross country, we can go to the Nike store and get you 2 outfits. Shirt, pants, shoes, socks. You get it. Seal the deal. Seal the deal. So this is Sarah. That's my daughter, Caitlin. Okay? And so they would start running, and every single morning, this saint of a woman, little girl, would come pick my daughter up at 6:30. And for the first month, she ran with her, even though my daughter Caitlin had never run before. And so Sarah was really like, hey, come on, let's do it. Right? And towards the end, Sarah buddied her up with somebody else who was a little bit slower runner, but also so that Caitlin could get to know other people. It wasn't just Sarah's shadow, right? Sarah took care of her. They trained over the summer, the first month. And I watched my daughter change. She was happier. She talked about friends. She couldn't wait. She would get up in the morning. We used to have to kind of get her ready. We would get up and she was ready to go, running cross country. Guys, this is over the summer, right? When kids usually don't get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay? She was ready to go. She changed. Then the day of her first race came. And we were so excited. I mean, like, seriously, I was like going to shave my chest, paint her name, and I was going to be like the most fanatical cross-country runner parent you'd ever seen in your entire life. And I asked Caitlin, I'm like, we're going to go. She's like, no, you're not. You're not going. Like, super embarrassed that Dad was going to show up around her friends, right? And so we're like, okay, we won't come. I look at her, I'm like, we're totally going. So we drop her off. Bye, see you later. Drive around the block, park, and then hide in the stands, right? And we watch her start, and she's wearing this hat right here, okay? And so the race starts, and we're sitting in the stands, and we can kind of see her run. And this is her running buddy, okay? That she was supposed to run with. And she was in the back, and the gun went off, and the whole group went, my daughter's not fast. But for her, it's not about winning the race. It's about running the race, okay? And so the gun went off. And she just started running. And I saw the first lap. I saw my daughter. She was running with this girl. And she was just trying to kind of figure out what was going on. Okay? By the second lap, you can see her right there. Okay? I noticed something really interesting. That she was trying to run faster. But anytime she would get about 5 or 10 feet in front of her partner, she would stop and turn around. And she'd encourage her. Come on. And she would clap her hands. You can do it. And she kept getting really worried because this girl was having a really hard time. The third lap came. And as she came around the third lap, I saw her coach. And by the way, at this point, they are the last runners in this race. Like, they are the last runners in the race. And those of you that know one of my stories know that that's not an uncommon thing for us partners. Anyway, she's in this race, and I see her coach go out. Because clearly the girl she's running with is having some problems, but my daughter won't leave her side. She is staying right there because Sarah said, you stick with your partner. And I see the coach, I can't hear this, I just see the coach kind of talking to Caitlin, and I see Caitlin kind of pointing at the girl behind her and kind of shrugging her shoulders, and then I see the coach do this. It's okay, I'll get her You go, 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 go. And then I watched my little girl do something that totally stunned me. Which is she just put her head down and she started to run. I didn't know she could run that fast. And she started to run. And I will admit, when she came to this point, this photo for me represents a lot. Because there's going to be a lot of time in her life when she's going to be by herself. But she was going. She was running. She was running. And the great thing about this is she came into the stadium, she actually passed the girl in front of her. She wasn't in last place. I was really proud of her. And she came in that finish line, and I'm just sitting there, I'm bawling. I'm a mess, you guys. I'm not kidding. I mean, like, there were so many life stories in this, and those of you that know me, I was like, leadership lesson this, and like, it was crazy, right? All these things, my poor children were sitting there, like, my youngest had like 10 Kim lectures, like, did you see how she's not quitting, and she's just going to the end? My poor kids are just like, seriously, like, shut up already. Like, living with Tony Robbins every day. It's like, out of control. But as she came in, Mom and Dad are sitting there, and by now Caitlin has seen us, because by the third lap we couldn't contain ourselves. We were like screaming in the stands. She sees us, and in my mind, I am so excited to have this moment where she crosses the finish line, and I give her a hug and all these things. But guess where she ran as soon as the finish line was over? She came in, and who was waiting at the very end of that finish line for her? Sarah. Sarah. And I couldn't get a picture of it because I was crying. I was just watching it. And she ran right to Sarah. And she hugged Sarah. And I was great with that. Okay? I was great with that. Now the reason why I tell that story is you matter. I don't care what Sarah does in the rest of her life. I'm sure she will do great things. But she will always matter to us because she mattered to my daughter. And when we understand that that's what we have the power to do as coaches, the decisions that we make in a very real way changes the trajectory of people's lives. Guys, the business success should be as a result of that focus. When that's our focus, the business result will happen naturally. When that's what we want to do, when we align ourselves around that, the rest of these things line up. The successes happen. When we put the other things first, guys, it's short-lived at best. So when we talk about what are we going to do now coming out of Super Saturday, that might be a little bit different for every one of you. But it better have a common theme, which is I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something. Because you matter. You aren't an ID number. You aren't just a number. You aren't just a face in the crowd. You are a change agent. Equipped and empowered with knowledge, tools, and access to have a positive impact on people's lives. And you matter. One of the things I like to do every once in a while is I make these little origami swans. Those of you that work with me are probably sick of seeing stupid swans, but you know what I'm talking about. And I make these swans because of this story, okay, of the ugly duckling. I want you to think about it. You've got to go find these people and help them see the swan inside themselves. Let's say, for example, this right here, this is going to be a single mom. This is a single mom, and in her life, she's had to give up quite a bit to take care of her family. It's been hard. Life hasn't turned out how she thought it was going to be. She sacrifices. She works hard. She's making it happen, but boy, it's not easy. And one of the things that she sacrificed is her own health. She doesn't think she has time. She doesn't think people care. But you know that that's different. You can help her see her swan. So go find her. Got it? Okay? Here's another one. See, Amy, I was making these for a reason. She's like, where's she making these stupid swans up here? Let's say this is a dad. Okay? This is a father who's struggling right now to provide financially for his family. He wants to do something that matters, but he can't seem to get out of the rat race. Why? Because the job he has to work right now doesn't give him a lot of time to be able to do other things. He doesn't see a way out for himself. He's not sure how he's going to be able to make this happen. He's not sure how he can do this, and he's afraid he's setting the same precedent for his own children. Okay? His health's hurting. He has real low self-esteem about himself. He doesn't feel like a man. He doesn't feel like a good father should feel. And as a result, he's angry sometimes. He hurts sometimes. What he really needs is someone to help him see the inner swan inside of him. As feminine as that sounds, it's really not. Okay? I want you guys to think about that in every contact that you make, every time you talk. It is the power of the one. Leave this quote. I don't want to live in the kind of world where we don't look out for each other. Not just the people that are close to us, but anybody who needs a helping hand. I can't change the way anybody else thinks or what they choose to do, but I can do my bit. That's what we do. Thank you, guys.